everyone. We've changed the room a little bit, as you see. When I came up yesterday, there was tables all over because they've been training up here. So Tony, who was the secretary to the chief, was up here at the time, and she said, well, maybe we should leave a few tables up. Maybe people would rather sit and have a table. So do you like it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will leave a few tables, and she said another thing too, maybe the crumbs won't be on the floor.
Except for Becky, she's already getting
So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna have the police chief up here shortly, so I'm not gonna get into too much of the regular meeting now. We'll do it afterwards. But just to get started, I'll start with Jean at the library.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So I brought calendars, the newsletter, and little takeaways we have a busy month in February with February school vacation coming up. We're going to have a special police chief story time, and that's Thursday, February 21st at 11 o'clock. And that's really all ages. He's going to read a couple of stories, and then I think he's going to talk to the kids about being a policeman, and so that should be really good. We have the state representative Kathy Lenatra. She is coming to the library now on the fourth Wednesday of the fourth Monday of every month from 12 to 2. So I have little takeaways if anybody's interested in that.
Is that just for February?
That's going to be from now on until further notice, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the fourth Monday of every month. So this month it's February 25th. We have cribbage. We had kids cribbage, and now we're allowing adults, and that's the first Wednesday of every month. And the first time the adults are coming is this month, and that's at 6 p.m. So come on down. We have a really nice time. They're gonna kind of go over, do a little refresher course for some of the adults that haven't played in a while. Today, actually at 1, this is the first time we've tried this. We're gonna do a TED Talk, which is you put a video on the TV, and this video is the future of mobility, and then we have a discussion about what we watched. So that's today at 1 o'clock. For scrapbooking, where's Carol? Carol comes to scrapbooking, yeah. There you go, Carol.
Thank you. It's fun.
Yes, it's very fun. So that's Wednesday, February 20th. Categories we have on the 14th. And next Monday we have, this is sponsored by the local cultural council, and it's Stephen Collins, and he's going to do a reenactment of Herman Melville's Moby Dick. So he was at the library a few years ago doing Walt Whitman, but should be a really great program. That's Monday, February 11th at 6:30. And I have all that stuff here so anybody can come and grab one.
Okay, thank you. Chris, DA's office.
I'm busy as always.
What's
Busy as
happening?
always. Lots
What's
of
happening
cases
up there?
coming on. Lots of scams, as you guys, always need to be, cognizant of those, especially this time of year with the IRS scams. We're still seeing a lot of those. Also, the electricity scam. People call you, send you information that your utilities are going to be shut off. Things like that to pay attention to. If you get calls from people and you're concerned, call them back directly on the number that you usually call them on your bill. Especially this time of year, the cold weather, and if you are a senior citizen, they don't shut off your power. But they use scare tactics. I did hear that you guys need to file a life card, so I will drop those off on Thursday after our other meeting we have.
Okay.
Maria, anything else that you can think of?
No, just busy. Busy's good.
Brockton never slows down, does it?
Love it.
Anybody going to the parade today?
As you can see, we're here.
I was thinking about it, but God forbid, right? And it seemed like,
Ken would find us.
So excited.
There was a nice joke, I think somebody had called before, like ages ago, and they showed up to one of the parades, and you'll be on the news and stuff. That doesn't really work out well.
You can see, you see all that, you see all that tonight at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
11 o'clock
We
maybe.
need our jobs. Yeah, thanks.
Maybe we could get Tom Brady as a guest speaker.
That would be good.
I can work that out. huh?
Yeah.
No, if they can't get him in Washington, I don't think I can get him here. Joe, we don't have anyone from Generation.
No, the only thing that Dottie said something about a meeting that you can talk about.
Yeah, we're gonna have a meeting, Generations meeting will be on April 23rd at 10 o'clock, and that'll be held here. That's for anyone that's in the Generations group. And that would be to set up what we already discussed back in early December, the things we're gonna be doing this year. And anything
We have a
else?
dog show coming up that will be in the spring, and we have dog shows in September. When is it, September? Okay. Do you have anything in the spring?
Not that I'm involved.
Come on in, Chief.
Morning, everyone. How are you? Nice to see you again. How are things?
Good.
Good. 10:15, but on time.
I told Tony, I'm gonna introduce you as chief. I'm not gonna try with you like,
That's fine.
wrong.
That's fine. That's fine.
This is our new chief, Halifax Police Chief, and he started November
13th.
13th. And I'm gonna let you tell the rest of it, but he is from New Bedford.
Yes. Wow, the TV and everything over here. I'm live.
We're live.
Oh, we're live.
So I'll let you go ahead and, speak as whatever you wanna do.
Yeah. So I didn't realize we were going to be on TV, but I would have done some makeup. So I just wanted to thank everyone and welcome everyone to Halifax Police Station. I guess I'm not really sure how you guys want to work this. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, open up for questions. So my name is João Chaves. It's a lot easier for everybody to call me John. I'm obviously from Portuguese descent. I was actually born in northern Portugal. It's very hot in here. From a little town actually called Chaves. We're like about 10 miles from the Spanish border. My parents, my father was a shepherd. My mom was a farm worker, so very poor upbringing. My dad kind of immigrated to France. He went over the wall, so to speak. At the time, Portugal was run by a socialist party, very oppressive. So he decided to make a run for it and ended up in France. Got a job as a construction worker there, and he worked there a few years. I was born. Well, he came back, visited my mom. I was born. He went back. He went back 2 years later, visited my mom again, and then my sister was born. So yeah. He was able to. Things politically changed, the climate. So he was able to basically sponsor us to go to France. So in 1970, we went to France. We lived maybe about 10 miles, 15 miles from Paris, kind of in the suburbs. He was a construction worker. My mom got a job cleaning apartments and stuff like that. So I attended public schools in France, myself and my sister. And then in late '78, my aunt, who had immigrated to the United States in New Bedford, sponsored my mom and my dad to come over in search of the American dream. So I was kind of excited. didn't know too much about America from watching TV. I thought that every actor that I saw was actually French because of they changed the speech. So lo and behold, they were American actors. But so we landed in Logan, 1978, just before the snowstorm. I hadn't seen snow before, so it was a total shock. We went to the school to register, and then I started in Norman. I started at one of the elementary schools, and then we were out of school for a week because of the storm. I mean, it was nuts. Obviously, you guys all experienced it before. So. I attended the Drift Public Schools, went to the high school. I graduated in '83. Went to work one of the textile factories because my dad had just purchased a house. Kind of wanted to help out with the household expenses. And then in 1986, I got a job at the Pilgrim Nuclear Power Station as a security guard. It kind of sparked a little interest in law enforcement at the time because I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought about going to the military, and then changed my mind. Kind of got into the workforce with the security work. Kind of enjoyed that, so I began taking the exams for civil service. In '87, I was called by New Bedford. And they offered me a job as a police officer. So I graduated the academy in October of '87, and then I entered the department. In New Bedford, I probably pretty much did every type of work that you can do in law enforcement. Probably the only division that I did not work in was narcotics. I had kind of wanted to do that, but then just because some transfers and some the way the department was going, I didn't get a chance to do it. Quite glad that I didn't do it, but I worked the traffic division. I worked in records. I worked in professional standards, which was our children affairs division. As when people get promoted, that's like the job that no one wants to do. So the junior guys go in children affairs and investigate other police officers. So did 2.5 years of that. I got promoted in 1998 as a sergeant. Went back to uniform division. Pretty much, I worked every shift, days, midnights, evenings. In 2007, I was promoted to lieutenant. I was for a period of time I was in charge of the community policing unit. We had 19 guys that were assigned to the city of New Bedford to kind of join back up with the community. We had kind of observed like a separation between the community and police work, and at the time the federal government was putting a lot of money into community policing, so they created the unit just to do that. They were school-based, so basically the officer was assigned to one of the schools, and he kind of interacted with the children during the morning and school time, and then in the evenings he would go into the community and kind of follow up with the kids and follow up with the families. So I did that for about 2.5 years. And then towards the end, in 2007, I was promoted to lieutenant. I was assigned to the Major Crimes Division, which was our detective division. We did everything from larcenies, homicides, sex crimes, the whole myriad of criminal investigations. And then a year ago, I went back to uniform division, and then in November, you guys got stuck with me. Personal, I'm married. We've been married for, I'm gonna mess this up, so I'm not even gonna attempt it. I was married in '89. I have a son who's.
Better have the date, this is televised.
I might have to edit that. I have a son who's a senior at Northeastern University. He's scheduled to graduate this May. We're currently looking for a place to live. We're living in Dartmouth now, but we have to live a little closer, so we're actually kind of house hunting. Just looked at a place in Lakeville this past weekend, so at least it'll be a little closer to respond to Halifax. Trying to think if I'm missing something. So I'm very thrilled about being the chief in Halifax. I think I've had some conversations with some of you already. I can't even put into words how welcoming everybody's been to me. I kind of feel like I've been here for a long time. Everybody's been really, really nice. So the events that I've attended, we did the holiday in Halifax, and there was like really, really nice. I mean, my wife loved it. She's like, "Oh, these people are so nice." I'm like, "Just wait till the honeymoon phase is over." But I'm really looking forward to it. Like my motto of policing, or my theme of policing is, and I've mentioned it in numerous interviews and during the police search process, is that I want everybody to be treated like the officers to treat the people like they would have their parents be treated. Basically, give respect, and until that respect is not returned, then you handle your business like as a professional. There's a lot of things that I'll kind of won't stand for, and that's one of them. Like if somebody comes in and says, the officer mistreated me, and it's legitimately that happened, then we'll have really good discussions between myself and the officer. But I think that for the most part, all the officers on this police force have been great. Again, I was kind of concerned about that whole thing about an outsider coming into a department. These guys have been great. They've all been doing a good job. I tend to kind of lead by example. Obviously, I've been kind of stuck inside a lot. I'd like to be out and doing patrols more, but I was told by one of the selectmen that I need to do my homework first. So I'm working on my homework assignments right now, and then eventually I'll go out there. But these guys are doing a great job. I have a good relationship with the fire chief. He's actually been like he's my kind of a mentor. To kind of give me, the ins and outs of the things in Halifax. So I'm really looking forward to be here for quite a bit of time. I don't know if you guys have any questions. I think it's a lot easier if I respond to questions than if I just keep talking. So I'll open it up to questions if anybody has any questions.
Anyone has questions, ask the chief. There's a good chance to do it now.
French?
I used to speak fluent French. I can read French. I can I can still read it. To speak it, I'd have to really work at it. I obviously speak fluent Portuguese. I can understand Spanish. If people are having a conversation, I can just sit there and listen to the conversation and pick up on everything, because where I was born is very close to Spain. So and then working in New Bedford, we have so much interaction with the Spanish community. So I'm pretty comfortable, with the Spanish language as well. Yes.
How are you dealing with the change of pace?
It's
I know New Bedford.
It's nice. I mean, after 31 years in New Bedford, it's like kind of a rat race. Like when I first came, and I'm looking at the cost for service, and it's just a different type of policing. I think it's actually more of what everybody, when they get into policing, thinks or wants to do. Like in New Bedford, you really can't interact with someone for a long period of time. You're basically going from call to call to call. You have one of the busy areas in New Bedford. You have two officers working a two-man car, and within that shift, they could probably have more calls for service than these guys have maybe in a week's time. So it's just different pace. So you really can't help people like you would want to help people. Here, you can take the time to kind of find out, what the problems are, and kind of, lay a game plan to, resolve something, and really kind of get involved in the community. But there, it's difficult to do that. I mean, they tried. I mean, they do a good job, but it's just not enough manpower, not enough man hours to do that type of work.
So were you involved with Triad in New
No, I was
Bedford?
not. I was familiar with it because the sheriff's office in Bristol County has a similar program, and when I was in charge of community policing, Triad wasn't in existence already. So we had like neighborhood meetings, like every. We had about a dozen neighborhood groups that would get together, not like neighborhood watches, but just people, and then they would have a monthly meeting, and I would attend, and it was basically like a back and forth. We have this problem with speeding, or this problem with prostitutes hanging around, and then we would kind of get together and formulate a game plan to combat those type of calls and issues.
Well, we haven't had those problems yet.
So this stays that way.
You have said hours that you work, like, are you 9 to 5?
Here,
Yeah.
I've been trying. I usually get in about 7:45, and then I usually get out of here by 4. There's no set schedule. Like last week, I think 2 or 3 days I was here until 10 o'clock at night, just because of different meetings. There's not. Like, that's one of the requirements of the job, is that you're basically on call 24/7. So depending on what's going on in town, they expect me to be here, and that's one of the reasons that I want to get a little closer. I mean, the 40-minute ride is not bad, but for example, yesterday at like 6 o'clock in the morning, I got a text that something had happened in town. So my guy, I gotta head over. Even if I wanted to stay a little later, because I knew I had a meeting that evening, come in a little later. But but there's no set schedule.
Do you find there's less streets to do than there were in New Bedford?
Yes.
They're harder to find.
Much less stress. A different kind of stress, because I think there's more responsibility. Because when you're in charge of your own platoon, like on a 4 to midnight shift, you're basically in charge of that area of town from 4 to midnight. You're in charge of those officers, those 11 or 12 officers that are assigned to you, and then at midnight you go home and you kind of just don't worry about it until the next day at 4 p.m. Here, you're basically carrying that throughout the week and the month and the years.
How many officers do we have on the police force?
We currently have 11 officers that are full-time. So we have 3 sergeants, 8 police officers, and then we have 4 reserve intermittents and 2 specials. We're actually going to we have one officer, Angel Lazinski, who's going to be attending the academy in April. So he'll be a brand new rookie once he graduates from the academy. So he'll be going into April. So around October, November, he'll be coming on board as a full-time officer. But he's already been an intermittent for about 6 to 8 months. I can't be sure how long he's been doing it, but he's going to be a great addition to the department. Great kid, really personable kid.
Now, when when the officers are out at night, how many cruisers and how many people are on actually night duty?
Yep.
Which to me would be the worst time for things to happen.
Right. So Halifax has two officers running each shift, the day shift. But usually the day shift and the 4 to midnight shift will have 3 patrols if we can, and then midnight day we'll have 2 officers, just because of manpower. My goals is to kind of increase that number to at least an additional 12th officer. Kind of gives me a lot more things to play with scheduling wise, because especially come summertime, to have 2 officers or on midnight to 8, it's dangerous not only to the officers but to the community itself, because I don't think there's enough coverage there during the summer months. So hopefully we'll try to get that 12th officer. I had plans of having one of the officers, he kind of starting him off right now as some detective duties, so he'll be following up on cases. So, for example, an officer who investigates a break-in and entering, he does the report, and then the officer will pick up the case the next day and kind of follow up on it, see if he can, find out who the suspects are and kind of close out that case. And the goal is to ultimately have that officer be a full-time detective. So that's what he'd be doing, for his shift, would be doing follow-up investigations. But right now, because of the manpower, because I only have 11, it's going to be doing kind of a dual role, almost like, like a lot of the guys do in the department. Like Joe's a patrol officer, but he's the elder investigation, does elder investigations. We have other officers that do like the drug work, but also do patrol work. We have another officer that does like sexual investigations, sexual crimes, but he's also a patrol officer. So everybody does like kind of dual roles because it's just the manpower. We're not as fortunate to have the manpower that a bigger department has.
Who is our prosecutor now?
Prosecutor is Michael Schleif.
Oh,
And his backup is Officer Hanks.
yeah.
He took over maybe about a year ago.
It's been a year already.
It's been about a year, yeah. Because I know he was he had already been a prosecutor when I got here.
Yeah.
So
He was on quite a few years.
yeah. So he has his patrol duties. He works 8 to 4, 2 days, and 4 to midnight, 2 days. In addition to that, he's got the prosecutor's tasks.
Go ahead, Jane.
Well, I was just going to ask, our regional dispatch is fairly new to town, maybe a year, a little over a year. So what's your experience with that? Is that how they do it in New Bedford, and how do you feel about that?
So when I started here, I guess the dispatchers had just moved over to a regional center within like maybe a year and a half. So in New Bedford, we're fortunate that we have centralized dispatch. So we actually have fire and police in the same dispatch center. So we have 2 firefighters, full-time firefighters, that they respond to the fire calls and the ambulance calls. And then we have 2 police dispatchers and 2 or 3 call takers that respond to the police side. And it's all just in one big room. It's kind of cramped. They're trying to expand it. Here it's a little different. My experience with it has been good. We've had a good relationship with the regional. At first, it was kind of weird when I found out that there's nobody here at the station after 4 o'clock.
I think we're a master.
Yeah, because I walked in and I'm like, so what happens when somebody comes in at 4 o'clock? Well, they grab that red phone and they call to Duxbury, and then the officer comes to the station. And obviously, they have cameras everywhere, so in case of an ambush, that type of thing. But and then there's I guess a safeguard where if somebody's chasing someone and they run into the station for protection, they can hit a button and it kind of locks them into that lobby area. It's kind of weird. But it's a whole thing of the resources and financials. I think, and I see it sometimes, like Tony will be working, even during the day, Tony will be working and somebody will be coming in and they'll be looking around, look like not really sure what to do, and then they'll see the phone and they'll grab the phone, and then, so it's kind of weird, but I guess, but I mean, the communication, with the Rock has been fine. The officers and the dispatchers back and forth, that's been good. It's just kind of, I think, a lot of the officers kind of miss having that person, and I'm sure some of the community residents do as well.
Yeah, we kind of have to get.
Yeah.
That's why I was wondering how you do. You're gonna get used to it too.
Yeah.
All the other towns, small towns like Halifax, are they all in this type of mode?
No, well,
It's not like a city.
yeah.
You're going from
The big thing is,
stuff here.
the big thing is everybody tries to go into a regional, because that's where 911 they want to fund all these regional centers. Like for example, our regional center, it's ourselves, Duxbury, Plimpton, Rochester, and there's talk about bringing in Hanson on board. So all those 4 communities, and Rochester is kind of far from Duxbury, so it's, but that was the same thing. They had part-time dispatchers, and they got rid of the dispatchers and they went into the regional center. I know the Bridgewater's in talking about creating a regional center with all 3 Bridgewaters.
It's spreading.
Yeah, and actually, we had a meeting with the regional center, and there's been discussion about bringing in Plymouth to the regional center. So if that happens, that would have to mean an increase in manpower, because Plymouth is going to bring in a lot of calls of service. Yeah, yeah. So, but they're doing some expansion there at the Duxbury Fire Station to make the place bigger, and then it'll just be it's like standalone communication center.
Yeah, wow.
But I guess that's the 21st century. Yes.
How long does that, how does that actually work? If you call 911 at whatever time, how does that actually go?
If you call 911, the call goes automatically to Duxbury.
Okay, and then how do you?
And then each town has a dispatcher that's, and so like what they've tried to do is like the people that used to work in Halifax that went over to the regional center, they kind of like put them in charge of taking the calls from Halifax. So they kind of familiar with the area and the streets and stuff. So the call will come in. You know, I'm at 10th Avenue. I have a disturbance, and then they'll dispatch that call out to the officers, and they'll respond. Here on this phone, when you pick up the phone, it goes to the regional center, and then it's almost like calling 911, but it goes from this phone to them, and then it comes back to our guys over the air, over the radio communication.
Well, they would be patrolling.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of, and it's kind of like, I mean, I'm sure they must have really planned this out. I know at the beginning they had some growing pains with it. I think one of the main things was just losing that person, that kind of that human contact, but sometimes you gotta make these cutbacks. It's unfortunate.
Any other questions for the chief?
If you were summarizing the time that you've been here, and it's a short time, what would you say your sort of number of calls or your sort of more calls for concern?
I think probably the traffic enforcement, the speeding. I know when I first started, doing some research and speaking, and actually when I spoke to the Chief Roderick, the opiate problem was actually very visible here in Halifax. We've been very fortunate. I think kind of regional, it's gotten a lot better. I know the Plymouth County Outreach did their stats for this past year, and they had significant drop. I know right now, I just saw, I have a contact in New Bedford. She does like the crime analysis stuff, and they've had an uptick in overdoses because there's got to be some newer drug out there again. So I think they had like 13 overdoses within and fatal overdoses, in like a period of like 3 or 4 days, like 36 in a period of 2 weeks. So I think it's eventually going to come up this way again. Unfortunately, every time there's some new stuff out there, people want to try it, and then get some very bad results. But I think the traffic enforcement. I think that's kind of something that's visible to people. We've been very fortunate. We haven't really had many like break-ins. I think also it's the time of the year. I know yesterday we had a couple calls with the quads because the kids, they get cabin fever. They see the warm weather and out they go.
Welcome to.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, I guess they have already answered.
Thank you.
I'll be downstairs if anybody ever wants to come in and talk to me. My door's always open. Feel free, and again, enjoy.
Do you want to take these?
I'm gonna fix some coffee. Fix some coffee.
I can bake these all night.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Make sure you,
Thank you, Chief.
thumbs up.
I thought it was just children. All ages.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Where did I leave the department out? I forget where I left off.
Maybe that's me.
I didn't get to us. So get to the minutes.
Well, yeah, I think so.
All right, so we'll continue on. We'll go with Barbara.
And you can mention two. TSO Smith. The old moderator.
Oh, okay.
Okay, at the Council on Aging, actually, we have a Valentine's party coming up and it's already full, basically. So we're gonna have some entertainment with Warren Phillips, who's never been inside of our place. He sings and he's an ex-teacher, science teacher, with a lot of history. We have the tax consultant starting today, doing taxes, if you can believe it, it's tax time already. So he does increments of 15 minutes service. We have a new podiatrist that's been on board. And so she comes like once every 5 weeks or so. We have Kathleen doing crafts, so she comes once a month. Intergenerational program with the 6th graders. I know Carol works for them. So they come and do games once a month also. And we're getting ready for our big Easter egg hunt on April 11th. So we'll fill the eggs and have them on the front lawn and all around with about 40 kids that will come. The biggest change is the potluck lunches. So we have 4 different volunteers that make homemade food on Wednesdays for $2.50. And we just ask people to sign up 2 to 3 days before so we know how much to cook. So we're filling the dining room with that one too.
It's on the menu tomorrow.
I can't remember.
Thank you, Joe.
It's American chop suey.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's American chop suey.
It's okay. You're forgiven. So we have lots going on. For fun. So
Nothing else that you want to go over at all?
well, our program's why we're here.
Your pages was pretty full here, and I was over it.
Well, it's a newsletter. That's just a reminder. Why we are here. We have the medication box downstairs. It's probably been here now for what? I'd say 3.5, 4 years. For used medications, you take the labels off. You take all your privacy, confidential information off. Of course, people stealing that left and right. Before you put it in. No liquid diabetic pens or anything can go in that. Just the pills or gel pills, that sort of thing.
Where does that go?
The red and white box in
No, I know.
It goes to Rochester.
What do they do with it?
Rochester. It goes to CMAS. They incinerate it there safely.
Yep.
All the police departments in Plymouth County, they go over, they bring them all to Rochester.
And speaking of that, on that note, I escaped the date now, Christine, I'm not sure if you remember, it's either April 20th or April 27th, which is a Saturday, is going to be a drug take-back day.
Oh, it's the national take.
Yes.
Yeah.
And each department, I'm sure, does one, and the closest to here at Brockton, they're doing it at the COA.
Oh, are they? Yep.
Is that correct, Christine? I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
just
have
trying
the
to see
flyer. It's either the 20th or the 27th, and right now it's escaping me because I didn't write it down, I apologize. But that's a good day usually for people to bring all those.
And what's the date on
I'm
it?
gonna get back to you. I'm gonna say the 20th or 27th. I'm not sure, Christine, if you can find that flyer, but
Yeah, some of the
it's one those
towns that-
Saturdays. I'll text that to you, by the way.
Yeah.
Because sometimes too, what happens is, it's sad, but I've seen it personally for me that an elder passes or someone passes and they had a ton of medication. I know someone personal to me a couple weeks ago and they had a bag of stuff. So what do you do with that now? And people would know that woman was there. That woman had been on very, very serious pain meds for the last portion of her life. So those things you sort of want to immediately start to discard of, and that would be one of the best places to do it, and it's not okay to flush it down the toilet, it's not okay to leave it around for your dog or cat to get into it and all those things. And liquids is a way to get rid of liquids, and like Christine said, they do not take liquids in the,
And sometimes it's a big
sometimes
pot.
they take it when you go to take back, but there's a way to dispose of the
And the
liquids.
National Day is April 27th.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
April 27th.
Let me write that down.
And that can be a big problem too, with a drug problem. You know, with family members going in and visiting, and they see all these drugs and bottles hanging out. So it's not good to keep them in the kitchen, on the dining room table. You need to hide them, you know, put them in a closet, because it happens every day. You know, your family members, your neighbors,
Or
people.
workers that you have in the home to do different things.
Yeah, the caregivers, yeah. Anybody that's, they could be quarried, but it doesn't mean they don't have a drug problem. Absolutely. Because we see it all the time, so. So that's what this program helps us to do, is one of the things that it
Right.
helps us to do.
Okay, Jerry?
We're actually, let me just mention, working on redoing a lot of Lisa's programs. We're adding to the programs. We kind of dropped a few of the programs, and currently Lori's working on a romance scams, which is very big. There's 2 in Plymouth right now where 2 women were scammed out of thousands of dollars that they're working on. So we're Lori has put together a program. I'm kind of not teaching you how to go online dating. It's to just
Dating savvy.
It's not necessarily
What's the website, Mister?
even like the dating apps, it's also Facebook, people that'll friend you on Facebook and pretend that they've known you for high school, oh, remember me, and then that's how they tend to bring you in, and then, you know, they will start talking to you for months and months, and then all of a sudden there's an emergency, and they need money, or they need gift cards, and that's a big deal. They ask for iTunes gift cards, because there's a big deal with that, where they can sell them immediately. So that's just definitely something to be aware of. Yeah.
So maybe down, next few months, we can do, Lori can present that to the group. If
I was going to ask you that, Becky, before you leave, I was going to mention that to you.
See what happens when you go online.
But it's very serious, and it's happening more and more. And like I said, there's 2 in Plymouth right now that they're working on, where 2 women were scammed out of thousands of dollars.
Let me ask you a question, because not that I go on or anything, but I'm curious. Is there a place that you put your date of birth or something like that? So if the scammer can figure out your age or know how to reach out?
They just can tell from the pictures.
I think my picture was funny. I
Yeah.
prefer to do that.
I know, right?
Yeah, I mean, do people, I'm just wondering if there's an age thing, if they know how to find a particular person who's of the age that they can know they can scam.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think sometimes they can, they just look at the pictures, or they look at the towns. And
I
where
have
they're
my
from.
dog on my.
That's what I'm saying.
That's good.
That's not good. I'm not.
We should be happy when it's his birthday.
Who cares, right? Just forwarded this.
So the other thing I wanted to mention too, that I know the fire and police have been working on the past couple of years, the numbers outside of your houses, that they're reflective for nighttime, and the numbers are big enough so that you can see them, because I know plenty of times we get calls, the EMTs, the fire, police, and they can't find your house. So in the park, the Halifax Mobile Home Park, I know they've been working there for the past year and a half, so we have to put that out there. It's one of the programs that we, would like to have the police and the fire work with us continuously, but we have to be aware too, everyone that lives, near us, our neighbors, make sure, because it could be us one of these days, that.
Do you have a number on your house?
I do, I have a reflective.
I was going to ask if the gentleman from the fire department, you have anything you want to speak about or talk about, even in reference to that, what you're looking for and what you can't find when you go out?
Yes, sir. So we actually do sell the blue reflective numbers over at the fire department. It's $15. and we make it up for you, whatever number your house may be. So if anybody wants to stop by, anybody you know that needs a number, generally what you want to do is have it at the end of a long driveway, or if you attach it to your lamppost, anything like that. It just helps us identify your house a little bit quicker, and if you're having an emergency, whether it be medical or the police department needs to find you, it's definitely a good idea to have out there. So.
Yeah, especially on these main streets, like up and down 106. It's hard in the evening if somebody's trying to find your house. You can actually see, like, if you're going to visit someone, which happened, I can't see the numbers, and they're like black usually, like the numbers are dark.
Yeah, we've
So you
run
can
into
sell
the
it
problem
to-
lately where like there'll be a dark number on a dark house, like black on black, or like a white number on the white paneling of a house. So yeah, it's blue. It's a blue reflective. You can see it day or night, and then we put white numbers on it, so it's very high visibility.
Is that the same as that there was some put out, I think, a couple of years ago?
It's the same program we've been running. We haven't advertised it for a little while, but it's definitely we still have plenty of reflective signs. So
Okay.
if anybody wants to stop by, you're more than welcome.
Is it just Halifax residents?
No, we can make it for anybody. Yep.
While I have you from the fire station, when do we have our next CPR class starting? Do you have any idea on that?
I'd have to get back to you on that, but I can do that in just a moment.
All right. On that, is there a charge? What are the charges for?
So the only charge, it's free to take the class. The only charge is for the actual card, and it's $30 for the heart saver and the first responder.
All right, so if it's, even if there are residents of Halifax, that the fees for this is still the same?
Correct. It's just a fee for the card.
Yeah, okay, and it's $30 for the program?
Correct.
Yeah, the Council on Aging, there was probably a group of us, 5 or 6, that just went about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. So Halifax has been doing this for many, many years. I think it's wonderful, But unfortunately, the administrative cost now, $30 is quite a bit, But maybe we can do a fundraiser. Who knows?
Okay, Jerry, it's your turn.
Well, all I have is from the beginning of December was our last meeting. And we went through the library, things that were going on. We went through all our raffles and all our programs going up for Christmas, and the Christmas party was fantastic. And at Halifax and Lights, it was all set up, so that was all good. It was, oh yeah, we had nice hot cider at the Council on the Aging for the holiday and lights. And we had met the new police chief just for maybe 15 minutes. He stopped in because he had to go off last time, so it was really nice to get him to really have a talk with us and let us know what was going on. We did an election for the members of the board, and Ken was brought back in as president, and myself as secretary, and Barbara as treasurer, so that was all voted on. And it's nice to see the fire department represented, because that was the one department we didn't have from Triad, so we really appreciate that. And we ended the meeting with, we had a trivia test, and we had a Yankee swap, so that we had a nice little Christmas time there, and it was very enjoyable. And then we set this meeting up. So we skipped a month, so we're kind of a little behind. That's about it.
Any questions for Jerry? Okay, Jerry, I guess that's it.
Okay.
The only thing that going on in the town is having a special town meeting on February 25th. Now, after Troy was here, we could find out what the articles are going to be, but it's a special town meeting, and most of the time, those meetings are just to money transfers. Is that what it is?
People
Carolyn?
People venting.
I didn't know when you was an accountant whether you knew about special town meetings, but I think that was just money
Well, they're gonna
changes.
talk about the fire suppression system, they need more money for the fire suppression.
Because I haven't seen
But I don't know
anything.
if there's anything else gonna be on, but,
Aren't they gonna bring up the plastic bag thing too?
yeah,
Is
I
that
think
coming up
that there's a
discussion?
meeting, a selectmen's meeting tonight and tomorrow night to approve the articles, so we
Oh.
should know by the end of the week. But I know the fire suppression is, that's kind of why
For
they
the
were
school.
having the
It's
meeting.
the elementary school.
Yeah, for the elementary school.
So is your new senior center off the board altogether now?
Yes, unfortunately, yeah. The 1.5 million, we needed a 2/3 vote in August and we did not make it. So what happens is we also lose the 2. We didn't get the 1.5, the 3.5 million, so we gotta go back to square one, so.
And square one means it's gonna be a lot more expensive.
Everybody was under the impression that the money was already there for us to use to do that, and it wasn't. And because everybody kept saying, well, what are you gonna do with the money? Well, we never got it.
All right, so later on, we'll know about what the special town meeting will be as far as articles.
Yeah, but I know definitely the fire suppression system for the elementary school will be on it.
All right.
The EMT has his hand up.
Yeah.
To answer your question, sir, the next class is going to be February 20th, and it's $20 for Halifax residents and $30 for non-Halifax residents. There'll be a schedule posted at the fire department. If you'd like to sign up, you can call the phone station.
And it's $20 for Halifax residents?
Correct, and $30 for non-Halifax
Okay.
residents.
And what's the time starts when?
It's at 6:30 p.m.
Yeah.
I have it.
Okay, have that. 'Cause I know there was a couple people that asked me about having it. So I didn't know if there was anything coming up that early, but that's good, so, okay.
It's just
Does it
one
have to
day?
be so many people to keep, to have it running, or?
So Lieutenant Gibbons is the one who runs it, and he'll take onesies and twosies, or he'll take an entire class. So yeah, just sign up whenever you'd like, for anybody who would like to. Call the fire department, and the administrative assistant, Kendra, can help you out with that.
Good, okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
So, all right, so we'll go to the next meetings. Our next meeting, which will be on March 5th. All right, this March 5th, we're gonna have our speaker will be a judge. And I was just talking to Chris about this because here again, I can't pronounce the last name on this one either. So, anyway.
Sadiano.
Did he work, was he working out of the DA's office?
He's
This
not-
says something about-
He started his career at the DA's office, and then he became a judge, and now he's back at the DA's office.
Well, that's what I was kind of thinking, that's what happened.
He's come full circle, yeah.
Yeah, he retired after about 21 years.
But anyway, he's the retired judge now, and he's going to be our speaker for March. And so if any questions we have for any judges, I'm sure that he can answer them.
And he's very involved, he works closely with them now, and of course, being Tim's first assistant, as you can imagine, he's in the courtroom, he's very present when major cases happen. I'm sure you've probably seen him on some news articles with pictures of him or whatnot. He's very personable as well, so I have it on his calendar, he is aware of it. I'm gonna send a reminder, and there's no service here, but I'm trying to get the media person to send you about a paragraph. If I can forward that to you somehow, would you prefer that in an email? About a bio for him, I'll try to get that to you
Yep,
by
that'd be
Friday.
great. Did we meet him when we did the,
No, I don't think you guys met him when you guys came in for the tour.
The tour.
No, I don't think he was,
okay.
I mean, he was probably there, but you guys didn't meet him.
Does he have a specialty that he deals with at the court, or is he just generic?
Did you juveniles for a portion of his career? I forget. I don't recall. I'm not sure about specialty, but I think he's very well versed and he'll let you know his story and everything. Full Brocktonian, loves Brockton, from Brockton, still lived in Brockton as a judge. Most judges actually drive off somewhere else different to go to their home. He made sure he always stayed in Brockton. His children, he's very involved in the Brockton community. He's very involved in I mean, everything that we do. I'll prefer that he gives you the story.
Yeah, but he's retired, he's a retired judge though.
Yes.
How many years was he on?
21 years. And he was one of the, sort of the newer judges because he can get his age away, by the way, so he's young, he's not old.
Good.
In my opinion.
All right, so he will be our speaker for
I'm
March.
excited for that. Yeah. And he said if he didn't mind a former judge in our introductions back and forth, and I gave him some background on you guys and how active you are and how you came to the courthouse for the trip, 'cause I don't remember that he was there, so I'm very excited.
I don't think so.
I don't think you did.
Yeah.
Brocktonian?
Yeah.
Is that's
Yeah.
really a word?
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
I seen that publicized.
Yeah.
I love it. Real true Brocktonian, like you're born, lived, raised.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
one of them, so I gotta be careful, but yeah, you're born and lived and never left, you're Brocktonian, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that just kind of reminded me that we have talked in the past about doing a tour with the Plymouth County Registry of Deeds
Oh, yeah.
too, so I don't know if maybe we want to look at that in the
That's interesting.
springtime.
I can give them some time to build and see what that says. I'm not sure if they have a website publicizing when they'll open. They actually move into our old office.
Oh, they
Our
are,
old office
okay.
on Belmont Street is under current construction. They're gonna be moving there.
Oh, so they're going from Plymouth to Brockton?
No, the Register of Deeds is in Brockton, is on West Elm Street currently.
Oh, okay.
But that facility is gonna be moving over to the Belmont Street
Okay.
address. There's a Brockton Register of Deeds there.
Okay.
As you know, Register of Deeds splits its time between Plymouth and Brockton, between those two towns. So there has to be an official place of business. So it will be our
Okay.
old office on 32 Belmont Street. I'm
Okay.
not sure when that is going to be opening at all. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they've been renovating the building now
Looks
for a
very
little
nice.
bit. Yeah, I'm not sure when it's opening up.
Because the one in Plymouth is right there too, in front of the courthouse, isn't it that small?
In front of the Overy Street.
Yeah.
courthouse, Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So it'll be interesting. That'll be a good place to see. It'll be our old office. I'm sure it'll look very different, and you can learn where all the things are kept. Check out their website and see, or if I find
Yeah.
out, I can let you know when they'll be up
Okay.
and running. Probably in the spring, I thought.
Is anybody interested? Because I know there was interest the past year and a half, going to the Registry of Deeds, and I know they give a great tour.
Have you guys come to the farm? Or just for the Triad, the main Triad luncheon, but have you
Yeah,
ever
for the
come
luncheon.
just as
No.
a group and had a luncheon? Would you be interested in that?
Yeah.
What they do is they do a hayride. Don't hold back.
It's time here for the lunch.
Yeah, they do a hayride, show you all the property.
We've
I know
had-
you've done a jail tour as well, right?
Yeah.
A few years ago?
Yes.
We've had pizza inside of the greenhouse,
lunch.
remember
Yes.
that?
Yep.
We had a tour, they took us around, bales of hay, and away we went.
Oh,
Yeah,
after
that
we
was
toured
fun.
the Plymouth District Court, right?
We did the jail.
Yeah, we did the Plymouth District
Yeah,
Court.
we did the jail.
You have to make sure it's a date that I'm not on vacation.
Yeah, no more vacations for you.
Seemed like last year, we missed so many things.
Give us the dates, probably, give us the vacation dates.
Gee, that's too bad.
It's just like a tape from Tim.
Yeah, because the Triad luncheon at the farm is gonna be June 5th, I think, somewhere in the beginning of June.
June
I don't
5th.
have the exact date yet, they're mulling it around, but it'll be the beginning of June. And that's when all the Triads will be there.
Let's get a non-windy day.
There's never a non-windy, never. It could be 900 degrees in July and it's windy there.
Bring some rocks.
Yeah. The tablecloths flip, which knock the flowers over, which knock the drinks over.
But what is a good event?
No matter what time.
Canteens, they'll give out canteens for
Yes, that
gifts
was
that
the
day.
Yeah, that's a Triad lunch.
Yes.
This maybe we can decorate pumpkins. Yep, Plimpton Carver did that
Would they be
before.
out that early?
Huh? What did they decorate then? Didn't they decorate something?
I thought it was
I thought it was pumpkin.
In
When
June?
do they come out? No, that's right.
And like put them in down.
All right, you're gonna pull it together, Ken.
We did some kind of craft at one of them. It was something.
Well, that's our speaker for March. All right, now I have a speaker for April. I have a few of them ahead of time here. Speaker for April is going to be Reggie Whalen. She's going to be doing a little program on dementia. And she says the things that she does, it involves certain people in the group. So we may be involved in some of her things that she wants to do. So if you'd be prepared to be...
You better not forget the cream that day.
Now, wait a minute, gotta make sure I remember to come.
Can I keep the cream I have?
April 3rd, I think.
It's a Wednesday.
That's April.
No, it's
April
it's
2nd.
it's April 2nd then.
Now, her presentation will be about 45 minutes because she does the group presentation.
I think it will be more like a workshop and empathy exercises on how it might be, either having a dementia or a different type or living with somebody with a dementia. So it's very proactive and good program.
The same time?
And I have the meeting for May. The meeting for May will be on May 7th, and the session's going to be done by the Halifax Fire Department. It's going to be on, which I asked to have it, because I've been trying to figure out on all of these things they have happening in the schools and even on accidents, where do you put a tourniquet? How do you use it? And I talked with Chief Jason at the fire department, and he said he'd be glad to have someone come up and do a presentation. So that's going to be involving how to apply tourniquets in the right place depending on the damaged area. And that's going to be on May 7th. Who does that type of thing for the tourniquet? Will that be you?
We have a couple of instructors there, sir. Generally, we got certified a couple of months ago on the Stop the Bleed program. There's actually a website, it's stopthebleed.org. You can go on there. It gives you a couple of instructional videos. We did it with the school last month, so all the teachers were involved. We did the entire presentation. So they're all savvy on that. We're starting to deploy the field kits. Where we have the tourniquets and a couple of different bandages in there to actually stop the bleeding.
How long is it? Well, I think they said the session was half an hour or...
About that. Honestly, so I'm in the military as well, I'm a medic. And we teach tourniquets, and that's the number one thing. It's the quickest thing you can do, and it's the quickest thing you can do to save a life. So it's a very, very simple application. Technology's come a long way to where it's under 30 seconds, you can apply a tourniquet and help.
But if something happens and you're driving by and you see someone that is bleeding like that and you have some knowledge of way to do tourniquets, then you can help someone. But what do you use for tourniquet? Things like that. You know, when you're outside, you don't have what you'd carry in an ambulance. It's whatever you have in a car, perhaps.
Correct. So, I mean, anything works, whether it be the combat application tourniquet or even just a belt, something to slow the bleeding, delay the bleeding until first responders, EMTs, paramedics can get there.
So anyway, this will be on May 7th, that program. And that's as far as I got.
All right, and June 6th is the Thursday, June 6th is the Triad luncheon at the farm. It's gonna be a cookout again.
June 6th. And we're not on any vacation on June 6th.
Wow, look at that. You chose it just because of Ken.
Well, the problem is with its timeshares we have, and we can't change it. That's the problem. You know, if it's a regular vacation, you can say, yeah, we'll do it some other time. But
I totally know.
okay, June 6th.
June 6th at noon time, and now you know that is limited. I think it's like six, maybe each, I think it's six, possibly
It used
eight.
to be 10,
It used to, right, then they put it back, now I'm trying to make them back to 10,
yeah.
because I think we can.
Well, there's probably-
Particularly with the cook, with the,
It's so hard to pick out just 10.
it really is, and that's why we try to say it ahead of time. A lot of different centers do raffles.
Or, yeah, like a drawing or,
Pick a name out of a hat.
Yeah.
if you went last, someone else wants, someone new wants to go this year.
That's a good point.
I mean, sometimes this is only the same people that want to attend, but sometimes different people want to, attend as well.
And then some of like the Rochesters, they don't send people, so we will have extra sometimes.
Yeah, some people,
So you can kind of have a waiting list or whatever, but no, it's anywhere from 6 to 10.
And it's at 1 o'clock, you say?
12.
12 o'clock.
Lunchtime, Ken.
You can come at 1.
Oh, Jesus.
Is that one we had?
That was it.
Oh, that was,
Cable guy for coming.
but a lot of people said that it was the first time and they loved it. Right.
Yeah, don't have it.
Quite a few loved it, quite a few loved it.
Yeah.
Used to be the time.
Yeah, that was the feedback. Yeah. There was a control measure. Yeah. The first years, that was, I didn't know how that was going to go. Some people really did love it.
One more announcement.
In the back room, we have a gentleman sitting up there. You haven't seen him before, but his name is T.P. Elliott Smith. And if anyone in Halifax has been here for years, you know who the gentleman is. He was the moderator for all of our town meetings for I don't know how many years. 24 years. And I asked him if he'd like to attend Triad Meeting because he doesn't have too much to do. So he's kind of retired, so he said he'd like to come. So anyway, this is his first meeting, but
Welcome.
he spent many years doing our town meetings as moderator.
He had a birthday last month and nobody acknowledged his birthday, so I think everybody ought to sing happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. Elliott. Happy birthday to you.
Never asked.
Anything else?
That's about it. Thank them for coming.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming from fire. See, Triad is made up of the DA's office, police, fire, and the sheriff's department. So we like to have someone from each one, which we have most of the time. But I'm trying to get Chief Jason to remember to send someone up from the station, just to walk down the ways here, you know. So I'm glad that you were here. Would you be coming to the meetings? Don't you know?
It might be somebody different next time, but we'll definitely be sending a representative.
So I just have to keep reminding
I definitely give the chief a call, yeah.
Yeah. And
But
Joe,
I'll take down the dates as well.
yeah, bye. And Joe, of course, you know, Joe, he comes up, he represents the police department as the representative to Triad. And Joe doesn't miss any meetings, he's always here. Even on his days off, he comes.
Dedicated.
All right, that's,
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Cable.
and we appreciate the cable for being here.
Yes.